Texas A&M going to Alabama. Bama's favored by 24.5. You say, why are you breaking down this game? It's 24.5 points favoring Alabama. Because the storylines within it, my friend, are so interesting. Us as college football fans, we all saw the press conference war that happened. It wasn't really a press conference war. Nick Saban held a function, or there was a function that Nick Saban was at, talked about NIL, talked about how he feels like NIL is impacting recruiting, and off the cuff made a comment about A&M, quote unquote, buying their recruiting class. Okay? Let's paraphrase him, but more or less what he said. Jimbo Fisher then the next day, jeans and all, calls an emergency press conference and just unloads the clip on Nick Saban and said a lot of things about how he runs his program, said a lot of things about the way he does things. So we had this day circled for a while. Will Anderson was asked about it at SEC Media Day, and he just said, we're going to handle it on the field. And Will Anderson is a bad dude. I don't think he's the kind of guy that you want going after you. He's going after whoever playing quarterback for A&M this coming Saturday. The pressure is back on A&M after their loss to Mississippi State. No matter how you slice it, that's just the reality. Max Johnson is day-to-day with a thumb. Haynes King came into the game against Mississippi State and did not look good, to say the least. We'll see what happens there, but I'm going to break this game down as if Haynes King is your quarterback. Spoiler alert, I don't think it matters a ton. Not to be disrespectful, but I think that's the reality. For Alabama, similar situation at quarterback. They have Bryce Young right now as listed as questionable. I think he's day-to-day more or less. But Jalen Milroe, if Bryce Young can't go, is your guy for Alabama. Now, reason why that's important, because we saw the offense and the way that they sputtered early on against Arkansas. And it's very evident that Jalen Milroe, no discredit to him, isn't Bryce Young. Most noticeably in what he does throwing the football downfield. Now, Bryce Young has a Heisman Trophy at home on his mantle, so I don't think that that's too big of a knock on Jalen Milroe, but he brings a different skill set to the table, and a lot of it isn't really throwing the ball downfield. Jalen Milroe is a super elite athlete. We've seen the video of him hang cleaning, I think it's like 330 plus pounds, just freakish. A lot of people were saying, well, he's in the SEC, that's not even that much weight. You and I both know 330 pounds, regardless of your position, much less a quarterback, is a really impressive hang clean. That's stupid explosive. So he's going to be a weapon for them. But if Bryce Young can't go, Alabama will call a different offense. So I'm not so much concerned with the things we saw last week from Jalen Milroe not throwing the ball vertically as well, because he was running an offense that was built for another player. This week, if it's Jalen Milroe, they're going to be a lot more zone read, a lot more design quarterback runs, and that's going to complement him as well as whoever you want playing tailback, whether it's Jahmyr Gibbs, whether it's Jason McClellan. Pick your poison. Both freak shows. Jahmyr Gibbs popped in a big way last week, 2 70-plus yard touchdown runs. Could have been longer if they had elongated the field. You get what I'm saying here. It's trouble with Jalen Milroe in the game, but in a different flavor. So if A&M is going to win this game, how would that happen? You need chaos. Similar to the Arkansas game, Jalen Milroe and KJ Jefferson, different players. I think it's a similar scheme. You would need to have a way to just transparently, I think you need a defensive score. I think from a momentum standpoint, you need that. I think from what you're not going to have offensively, you need that. You need chaos. You need turnovers. A defensive score would be a big area of emphasis for me if I'm Jimbo Fisher. Maybe you could also substitute a special teams score in there. Bottom line, got to find a way to get hidden scores, hidden possessions. Big deal for Texas A&M. On top of that, I think you also need to find a way to sell out to stop the run. In this assumption of A&M winning the game, Bryce Young isn't playing. If Bryce Young is playing, probably a whole other conversation to have, but assuming Jalen Milroe plays, you got to sell out to stop the run and force Jalen Milroe to beat you. Force him to throw the football. Because with the little data that we have on him, we've seen he struggles to push it downfield. So if you can throw the kitchen sink and find a way to stop the run, which, full transparency, A&M hasn't really done that effectively lately, but if they could commit extra guys, whatever you got to do to stop the run and make him throw it, that's what you have to do. 24.5 points for a reason, but that's one of the big things that would have to happen. Offensively, it's no secret. I don't feel great about whoever's playing quarterback, especially if it's Haynes King. A-Chain has to take over. has to create for you 2nd and 5, has to create for you 3rd and 3. Manageable situations, and then on top of that, he needs to see the ball a lot in the pass game and a lot in the run game. He needs to be the guy that is the catalyst for you to win this game. Take the pressure off whoever's playing quarterback. Noah Nia Smith, Evan Stewart's a dude, but Devon Achane is your guy that's going to allow you to win this game if it is the way that's going to go for A&M. So that's how that would happen. Now, what do we think will happen? I think if it's Bryce Young or if it's Jalen Milroe, I don't know that it matters quite as much as people want to say it does. I think Jalen Milroe, with a full week of preparation and a great scheme put in place by Alabama, will thrive. He's at Alabama for a reason. I don't think I need to say a ton more. It complements him, complements Jahmyr Gibbs. Does the pass game get going as much? Probably not. But A&M, again, they haven't proven they can stop the run. So you got another quarterback coming down at you. Probably have issues anyway. That's probably what I would see happening with Jalen Milroe. On top of that, I think the Bama pass rush overwhelms whoever's playing quarterback. Will Anderson is a bad dude. This game is personal to him with the way that Jimbo Fisher came after Nick Saban. It's going to be a very much so emotionally charged game. Have a feeling that Tuscaloosa will give a very warm welcome to this Texas A&M football program all game long. Let's just talk about this. I think Bama's going to win the game. I have a hard time believing they're not going to cover. 24.5 is a lot. I think Bama's going to do everything in their power to score as much as possible, and I don't think they're going to take their foot off the gas. Someone said it really well on College Game Day. If it's 98-0, you could see Bama going for 2. Just the way that thing's going to shake out. So let's say it does happen that way. What do you say for Jimbo Fisher? I mean, I was reaching for words just then. I think the same thing would be true for Jimbo Fisher if a game like that goes that way. Because there was a lot of excitement when they beat Alabama last year, and there was a lot of belief that came from that win. But if Bama just takes them to the woodshed, I think you really start to test that culture. Because that buzz and that heat that was kind of around the program and all of the chatter around Jimbo and his offense, that gets turned up yet again. Because that'd be 2 losses in a row. They don't look great against Mississippi State. Assuming Bama takes care of business and Bama does what Bama does, that doesn't look good. What happens to this conversation around Jimbo Fisher? The honest answer is I don't know. But the fact there's a conversation, I think, says something. He's not going to get fired. I'll just say that right away. He's not going to get fired. They're not going to throw him out the door. It's not how they're going to get down. They've paid him a lot of money, and a lot of money for a reason. He's done some good things at other places. But I think you have some very real conversations about potentially play calling responsibilities. I think you have a conversation about your staff. There's a lot you're looking at. A total reassessment, in my opinion, would take place in the near future, if not after the season, for Texas A&M. So our pick in this game, I think the Tide roll. Don't think it's particularly close. Don't think it matters who's playing quarterback for either team. We like Bama to win. We like Bama to cover. Not a fun segment to do, to be honest with you. A&M is a program that has done a lot of things well, especially on the recruiting trail. With all the classes they've stacked now, it's beginning to become a little bit concerning. Now, I was here saying, hey, next year's probably the year you can expect more from A&M. This year, we were always a little bit uncertain about their quarterback situation. Connor Wegman's still there. So you have a conversation if it goes the way that it goes. But if it's close, maybe there's some more encouragement. I don't know. We've talked that one to death, but we'll see what happens there. We like the Tide to roll. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.